to the Fantasy Football Mafia podcast.
Hello, everybody. You remember that guy on Fox Sports who used to do that?
Hello, everybody.
Hello, everybody.
Fox Sports?
Yeah, the guy on Fox Sports.
No.
Anyways, so let's recap from last time where we did our top 10.
Before we get to the rankings, I want to give a huge round of applause, everyone. I want all the audience. You also give a round of applause to our fat friend Andrew. After you heard us call him fat, he went to the gym for the first time in like about 2 years. So everyone, fat friend Andrew, come on, let's go. Join in the gym.
Beautiful.
You got so mad.
It's great how we can motivate people to accomplish their dreams.
Yeah, you put the donuts down and put the weights up. That's how it is.
You do.
Yeah, man.
Well, let's go over our top 10 from last when we do it a few days ago. I had
no. We're not going to go over it. If you want to know who we picked, you go listen to the fucking podcast.
True, but you know, people they have.
And I don't remember who I had as my top 10, so that's why I don't want to go do it.
Well, I'll give you my top 10 for last time. Brian's doesn't really matter because he doesn't wins anyways. So McCaffrey, Cook, Kamara, Elliott, Barkley, Henry, Chubb, Eckler, Cam Akers, and Jonathan Taylor. Brian's was sort of similar, but he did not have Cam Akers in his top 10. He instead had Najee Harris somewhere around 9 or 8. All right, and we're going to start today with number 11. You want to do the honors and start first, Mr. Feruzan?
Speaking of Cam Akers, I'm going to have him 11th. Todd Gurley didn't put up great numbers last year, but he did the year before. And you know what? I just think Todd Gurley's not a very good player, but you know the potential is there for any running back in that type of offense. This is an offense that's going to put up points, and I want a guy who's going to be the bell cow for that type of offense. I don't think he's really going to share the load with anyone. So yeah, that's a type of player I want, and he's actually a player that I plan on drafting as well.
What?
Yep.
Wow. You know, this is why doing this show, it's kind of bad because Brian gets to steal all my sleepers after I tell him. Because everyone heard last episode, I had Akers. You talking about donuts got me wanting cakes now. Akers, last episode was my sleeper. And yeah, I agree with everything you're saying. I think he's going to be the bell cow. That's why I had him as number 9. Even McVay said that they're going to use him as an all-around back. So that's pretty exciting. Anyways, for my number 11, I have Aaron Jones. I don't know if you had him in your top 10 yet, but
no, I actually have him next week.
Yeah, Aaron Jones. He finished actually 5th last year, the highest scoring running back. The only thing why I kept him out of my top 10 was because they were slowly giving him less and less carries throughout the year, where he ended up only averaging 15, which is still not too
a little
bad.
bit. He was injured toward the end of the season.
Yeah, he was getting injured. I know
Aaron Jones to me is just so touchdown dependent. That's one of the reasons why he's very touchdown dependent.
And
the regression is likely with him, but with that type of offense, it's like he still could put up the same amount of touchdowns because that's the offense I think is going to be getting in the end zone.
Yeah, but if Aaron Rodgers wants to keep passing it all game, it's going to be kind of tough. I mean, they started passing a lot more towards the end. It could be because of the injury, but
yeah, but he'll get passing work as well. Jamal Williams is gone, but they drafted again the running back in the second round two drafts ago, who I think is going to basically replace Jamal Williams, and he's a guy who actually you want to keep a lookout for as well.
What's his name?
In the later rounds, I don't know, but he has like really big fucking thighs.
AJ Dillon.
Yeah, AJ Dillon. I think.
AJ Dillon. That's right.
We should know his nickname on the show is Thigh Master. That's basically what it is. AJ Thigh Master Dillon. If you take a look at his thighs, they're humongous. I wouldn't mind if my girl looked like had those kind of thighs. You know what I mean? You know what the fuck I mean?
Thighs are pretty important. That's for sure. Yeah. Okay, so is Aaron Jones your number 12?
Yeah, I got Aaron Jones next. Again, if he wasn't too touchdown dependent last year, I might have him a little bit higher. But yeah, to me, a little bit too touchdown dependent, so I have him as 12.
All right, for my number 12, it's a guy that you had in your top 10, who's actually Joe Mixon. Yeah, he only played 6 games last year, but he did pretty well in those games. It was kind of started off very slow, but he had like 2 monster games before he got injured. So if he continues in that pace, he should have a pretty good season. But with Joe Mixon, one of the reasons I didn't have him in my top 10 is just super inconsistent for the last couple of years, even though he does get lots of volume. I do have faith in this offense, though, with Joe Burrow. They move the ball a lot better. They can, the only thing is that they have to pass the ball a lot because their defense was giving up points. But
I mean, their O-line, it's horrible.
Yeah, and they haven't really made
Horrible,
too much improvements.
Yeah, horrible O-line. I mean, they got rid of Bernard, I believe, this offseason.
Yeah, I mean, that could open up for third down
passing back. I think that the coach actually came out and said, hey, I want him to be a 3-down back. So, I mean, I think he's going to get the passing work. So that's one of the reasons why I put him a little bit more higher on my list than you did.
Yeah, he did catch 21 of 26 targets last year within that 6 games. So,
I mean, that's not bad. I mean, that's solid work, for running back.
Yeah, and he should get more with Bernard out.
Yeah.
Number 13. Go ahead.
13. I have Nick Chubb.
Wow, that's pretty high. Why you are pretty low?
Pretty low. I mean, the guy. He's not going to get the passing work. That's Kareem Hunt. He's only going to get running ability. So you're really getting down to the point where this is like one of those running backs who literally just gets running work. Doesn't really get the passing work. That's Kareem Hunt territory. And then Kareem Hunt is a really good running back, so he's going to take some touches away from Chubb. Chubb to me is just like a really old school, grind it out. He could really break some runs and go 80 yards distance, but to me, he's very touchdown dependent. Meaning, if he gets a 100-yard game, cool. What is that? 10 points. And if he doesn't get the touchdown, what are you going to get? 10 points out of your running back position?
But what's the difference between? I don't see a huge difference between Henry and Chubb. I mean, Henry. I mean, Chubb. The only thing is he has to share the carries with Hunt a little bit, and he could get pulled out maybe in the 4th quarter and have Hunt take over the game.
I mean, Henry is going to get more touches than Chubb's. Henry's going to get more. I mean, let's say Hunt is having an amazing game and Chubb's isn't. I mean, who are they to say they're not going to give the ball more to Hunt maybe a certain game? Henry's going to get the ball no matter what in that offense. There is no other back who's going to take a little bit off his plate. It's like, Henry has a huge contract and they're going to use him. The Browns is a 2-back system, in my opinion. So that's why he's a little bit lower on my list. Again, he doesn't get the passing work as some of the other running backs ahead of him, so he dropped out on my list.
All right. I mean, I do disagree. I think Nick Chubb is worth a late first round pick. But all right, let's go with number 13 for me is Najee Harris, which you had in your top 10.
Yeah.
Me, I don't really like picking rookies so far up, especially in the first.
Dude, it's a Pittsburgh running back, man. Pittsburgh running backs are like a different breed.
Running back. Well, look at Connor didn't do much last year. They had a horrible offensive line, and now you're bringing a rookie in there. You're expecting him to put up these huge numbers. I don't really see it. I mean, so he really has to prove it to me first. Last year, we had this huge hype of Clyde Edwards. If you wanted to pick him top 5 even, and some morons, one that's here, actually did that, and it didn't really work out.
Look, to my defense, I drafted Clyde high last year. He had a great first.
The hype.
It wasn't the hype. You don't know how many times where he got down to the 1-yard line and then they ended up throwing it, or he scored and they said holding. Like, so many touchdowns was prevented based on penalties, him getting down to 1, then deciding to throw it. And that's one of the reasons why I said before, I'm not opposed to drafting Mahomes 2nd round. It's because this is a team that throws on the 1-yard line. This is a team that throws on the 1-yard line. That's why I'm not opposed to getting someone like Mahomes that high, because I seen it with my own eyes what the fuck they did to Clyde. Yeah, bullshit. Yeah.
But speaking of Harris, he is going to get a lot of volume, that's for sure. So Yeah, top 2 or 3 for me makes sense. 13 for you. Did you ready to do your 13?
Yeah, I did my 13. Next is I feel like it really gets to the hard part. This is where it gets to like the next tier, and I feel like a lot of people really varies. I feel like the next tier, there's Gibson, there's Carson, there is
Clyde
DeAndre
Edwards.
Swift. Uh,
Yeah, so
yeah,
I
I
already
don't.
have my pick. I don't know who if you're ready with your 14.
I know who I have, but one thing scares me. I'll kind of tell you what. So I have Antonio Gibson as my next pick. So he actually recently came out and said his toe is actually still giving him problems,
Really? I didn't
which
see that.
is which is what basically caused him to miss some time last year was the toe. So he said the toe is still bothering him. Now, if it's hurting right now in the offseason, you can only imagine what it's going to be like in the season. So that's something to monitor. So Gibson, right now, yeah, I mean, they have a good offensive line. They have a really good defense, which is going to keep, I mean, might be number 1, 2, or 1 or 2 or 3 defense in the league.
Yeah.
That's going to keep them in the game where they can continue to pound the ball. Everyone knows Ron Rivera wants to run the ball. So Gibson, again, health is something that concerns me. But if he's healthy, he's right there.
Yeah. I also have him at 14. I didn't hear about that health issue. I didn't know he was still bothering him. I had him last year for most of the season. I actually let him go when he started killing it, which
Yeah, that's actually one thing I noticed about you. As soon as you let them go, that's where they flourish.
yeah, it really sucks.
You hold people back. Have you noticed that?
I think I do.
Not just in fantasy, but in real life.
I guess you could say that.
When me and
I
you
did
weren't
win
talking,
the league. I just a reminder. Yeah. I did win.
When me and you weren't talking, I decided to go back to college and shit like that. just a friendly reminder. You fucking hold people back in life.
You do that to me too. I mean,
did you go to college when me and you weren't talking too?
I did. I accomplished the most I did in my life.
Same as me, man. I got promoted and shit when me and you weren't talking.
I think with us, when we're together, we just want to do dumb shit and not advance in life. I don't know.
There's nothing wrong with that, personally.
Doing dumb stuff?
Yeah, just enjoy your life.
Yeah, enjoy it. Life is short.
Anyway,
Antonio Gibson. He's a PPR stud, and Rivera last year. What I really liked, what he said, is that he reminds him of a Christian McCaffrey type who can literally do everything on the offensive side of the ball. And Antonio Gibson actually was running receiving routes in college. That just shows you he's a great pass catcher.
Keep in mind, though, if Ryan Fitzpatrick is the quarterback, as a Dolphins fan last year, he's not throwing the ball to the running back. He's not throwing the ball to the running back. He's not throwing the ball to the tight end.
Do they still have McKissick?
He's looking for the wide receivers 20, 30 yards downfield. So on their wide receivers episode, keep mindful of McLaurin.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I'm hoping they'll get him the ball. If he does, he's gonna kill it. He's a monster. He's very talented. I loved him last year. I still love him this year. If injury doesn't hold him back, yeah, he's someone I'm willing to get.
If the injury and you don't hold him back.
Oh, hopefully I don't curse him. All right, number 15. Go ahead.
This one's tough, but I'm gonna go with DeAndre Swift.
Really?
So he's a running back that I really like. They brought in Jamal Williams, but you know what? Their running back coach actually came out and said, "What do you expect out of Jamal Williams? What do you expect out of Swift?" And he basically said, "We're going to ride the hot hand." That's something you don't want to hear if you draft Swift pretty high. That potentially they can ride the hot hand. But their head coach Dan Campbell literally went in his press conference once he got hired, saying, "We want to run the ball, eat kneecaps, take shits on the toilet," just going on a whole bunch of shit, basically saying how much they want to run the ball and play physical. And when you play physical, you want to run the ball. He was a blocking tight end. I imagine he wants to just run the ball. So that's why I have DeAndre Swift ahead of some of the other guys. But I think he's gonna get the volume. I don't know, the production is gonna be there with the scoring and stuff, but with a guy that high of a pick and the opportunity there, you can hope it's gonna match with the production.
Yeah, and I know they have a new coaching staff and everything, but with the Lions running back situation, it's always all over the place, man. It's like you never
Yeah,
really know who's a starter.
their own line's not that bad,
It's
I
not
mean,
too
they
bad.
drafted two.
Yeah. If they could keep
What
him
was it?
as the top guy, the full time guy, yeah, he's definitely
Yeah,
has
I mean,
potential.
they potentially in most years, Panay Sewell could have been the first overall pick. Like he's that good. And then you already have, in my opinion, one of the top centers in the league. I forgot his name, like Rasco or something like that. So I mean, their offensive line's not bad. So again, if they drafted a left tackle that high, it's because you're going to utilize it. And the guy's a great run blocker, and they're going to plan to run the ball. So I actually really like DeAndre Swift this year.
Yeah, well, for my 15th, I have someone that's actually pretty high on my board other for most people. I have Chris Carson, mainly because the Seahawks didn't go back to running the ball. And I remember the year when you drafted him and they were a running team, which was like 2 years ago, he was killing it for you. And the amount of volume he was getting, and he's the kind of guy who always leads the league in yards after contact. You can't stop him at the line. He's going to get a couple yards at least. So he's a bruiser. Yeah, he needs his touchdowns, but Russell Wilson driving down the field, he's going to get his. I really like Chris Carson this year.
The only thing I'm worried about is they drafted like a running back, I think in the first round, like two drafts ago, who's really not been able to stay healthy. He's going to come back this year. I remember I was holding him. Do you remember what his name was?
Not Elijah Penny, is it?
Rashad Penny.
Rashad Penny.
So I actually drafted him like one of my late picks last year. So I thought he was going to come back. And look, they spent a first round capital on him. He's going to at least get half the carries. They drafted Rashad Penny because they want to get rid of Carson and give him the ball. But he was injured. So one of my worries is he's going to come back this year and potentially at least take half the carries. Because he did play good, in some of the games he played. So if he comes back, I don't think it's going to be all Carson. It's going to be some Rashad Penny.
It could be, but Pete Carroll's in love with Chris Carson. So
I don't think so. I mean, they spent a first round pick just two drafts ago on a running back, a first rounder. So I don't know exactly how in love they are with Chris Carson. I actually do have Chris Carson with my next pick. But again, those reasons why I dropped him a little bit lower. But he could put up some good fantasy points. Again, just it all depends on how Rashad Penny comes back to the offense, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I had DeAndre Swift as my 16th, so we just had those swapped, and you basically covered DeAndre Swift. I agree with what you said. So we can skip over now to 17. For 17, I have. Well, why don't you go first for 17?
No, why don't you go first?
No, you go first. Come on.
No,
ladies first.
You first.
Okay, fine. I'll go first. So for my first, since Brian just wants to copy my picks, since he knows I'm the fantasy champion, I actually have J.K. Dobbins. This one was pretty hard. Yeah, this one was pretty hard, but I have J.K. Dobbins. They got rid of Ingram. Edwards is still there, but they're running team. All they're going to do is run the ball.
Shit.
All they're going to do is run the ball, and I feel like they're going to give Dobbins.
Yeah, all they're going to do is run the ball, but who's going to get the carries? Not all him.
He got Jackson, Edwards, and Dobbins, and they're all going to have pretty good seasons. But Dobbins, I feel like, is going to be the top back out of the running backs, and he's going to be the one getting those touchdowns. And if you remember the year with Ingram 2 years ago, he's getting like a bunch of touchdowns. So if he could take over that kind of volume and get touchdowns, and also get the receiving work back there, I feel like he can have a monster season.
Oh man, that's a tough one to swallow. But okay.
He actually led the league in yards per carry last season. Did you know that? 5.8 yards per carry. So if he gets more carries, it's going to average more yards.
It doesn't work out like that. It's with the more carries you get, you're going to go back to what the normal.
Sure, but if you're number one in yards per carry, I mean, yeah, it might go down a little bit, but that just shows you're swift. You make people miss. You're getting some yards when you need to. His actually yards after contact was number 7. So he led the league in a lot of running back stats.
My guy, who I think a lot of people might hate, is David Montgomery.
Yeah.
He's the guy who gets the volume.
Yeah,
now, is production always there? No, but if you look at the quarterback, it was Mr. Trubisky. I think any running back with him throwing the ball, it's you're not going to get much production. but he gets a lot of volume. He got some real good work late in the season with the passing game. And I remember when I traded for Zeke, it was like Montgomery was kind of like a throw-in that the guy gave me. That was actually the guy who I was really excited about, was getting Montgomery. So Montgomery, again, he gets a good amount of volume. Besides Allen Robinson, can you name another weapon on that team?
Jimmy Grandpa's is retired, huh?
I don't even know if he's still on the team anymore. Like,
I don't even know.
Well,
they got Daryl Mooney, but yeah, no one's significant.
So again, he's basically the second focal point of the offense. So he's going to get. They want to give him the touches, whether that's in the running game or the passing work. They got Andy Dalton. I think he's going to start the season, but then they drafted the kid out of Ohio State, Justin Fields. Really good running quarterback. So again, I think this might potentially open some things up, if they do a little bit of a fake here and kind of do like the Ravens offense. So he can sneak in a little bit. So I like Montgomery a lot, actually.
Yeah, he was actually my number 18, mainly because of volume. They got Justin Fields, like you said, so we'll see how that works out. But they're still going to give him the ball a lot, and he's going to get his. He's someone who's going to get you at least 10 points for your fantasy season. He's going to keep you afloat. Someone worth grabbing, maybe like second, third round.
And so let's go to our next pick.
Yeah, it's your number 18 now, because Montgomery was my 18.
My next pick, this actually might come of a surprise. I'm actually going to go with Mike Davis.
Wow, really?
So they get rid of Julio Jones. They draft a tight end, Kyle Pitts. Typically, tight ends, they don't do very well their first year.
Yeah, rookie tight ends, yeah.
So I don't know how reliable he's going to be, but their head coach is coming from Tennessee. Can you remind me what kind of offense Tennessee likes to run?
They like to run the ball.
Mike Davis, he's not a huge, tall back, but he's a very compact back. Nice, thick legs, where you can kind of give him the ball and he kind of bounces the ball bounces around like a rolling.
You're really into legs today, aren't you?
I like thighs. I just had some wing stops. So I had some wings. Now I'm trying to get my thighs in. But I think Mike Davis, they got rid of Julio. So they're going to need to replace some production. I think they're going to get that with Mike Davis. That's a guy who I don't mind having late in the rounds. Not late in the rounds, but late as far as like the running backs in the later teams.
Yeah, I think he'll be the next tier for me. I have a couple of guys ahead of him, but interesting.
Actually, after the top 20, let's talk about some of the guys who didn't make the top 20.
Yeah, sure, we can do that.
Feel like that.
For my next one, it could be a guy who was kind of disappointing last year, but Miles Sanders is my 19th.
I had him next. Okay, so we're right around there.
Yeah, he had those injuries that kind of hurt him last year. I don't know how he's going to bounce back. I mean, that was always his concern, is the injuries. He did end up having one last year, but it might surprise you, he was actually averaging 5.3 yards per carry. So when he did run the ball, he was pretty sufficient with it. He didn't really get the passing work that we all thought he was going to get, which kind of hurts. And he really didn't get as much carries as we thought he was going to get. He only got about, I don't know, like 16, maybe 15 carries per game, which is not that great. Right. And so if he gets those carries this year, and he actually, with Hurts as quarterback, if he starts targeting the running back, which hopefully he does, and gets the ball moving. Wentz was absolutely horrible last year. And if the Eagles offensive line can get back healthy, it could be a huge difference for Miles Sanders, and he can actually look like the running back we thought he was going to be last year. And if he is, that'll be a great steal for you later in the rounds, because no one's really looking at Miles Sanders like they were last year. So he could.
It's crazy how last year he was such like a guy who everyone wanted.
Yeah, really. He was like, because they put a lot of hype out that he's going to be the full-time back. He's going to get all these carries and volume. But you know what? There was a lot of injuries that happened to the offensive line, and they had to pass the ball a lot, and Wentz couldn't move the ball for anything. So
that's another thing. A lot of people shouldn't really buy the hype when it comes to stuff. If like a coach is going to be like, yeah, we'll love to get him the ball. Yeah, no shit. They want to get everyone the ball. I don't buy the hype. Things that you want to pay attention during the offseason is injuries, such as Antonio Gibson. He's saying that toe is not healed yet. That's something you want to pay attention to. More so, how are the injuries healing? But if a coach is saying great things about a player, don't buy into hype. They're not going to go and be like, yeah, he fucking sucked today. they're not going to really talk shit about like the players like that. They're going to be like, oh, he's great. He's awesome. I love him. The guy dropped a pass. Oh, it's not his fault. So just don't buy into the hype. Buy into the injuries.
Yeah, makes sense, man.
That's
So who's your 19?
I actually have Miles Sanders. So me and you were
Okay.
actually close on a lot of stuff. So again, if he gets the passing work, still, I mean that's basically going to be a new offense. Last year they really had no wide receivers. They added Devontae Smith this year. New coaching staff, new quarterback. So it's going to be a huge difference in Philly. So I mean, let's see. But if he gets the passing work, I think he might surprise some people.
Yeah, definitely. To top it off, at my 20, this was a tough one. There's a lot of guys I wanted to put here, but eventually I just put the guy who I thought was just going to get the most opportunity, and that's Clyde Edwards, because he's on the Chiefs. He's with Patrick Mahomes. They're going to go to the red zone like 50 times a game. Yeah, they might not pass it to him there, and he might not be running it there, but at least they're there. It's possible that he can get those touchdowns. They're going to be on the field, driving down the field a lot. And if they use him just a little bit more that they did last year, he'll be a guy could be a top guy. And, a lot of people are not looking at him this year because of what happened last year. So he's a guy who could slip. And I would just put him on my top 20 as a guy who can be kind of a steal for you later on when people just miss out on him. And like I said, he's going to get lots of opportunities. He's on the Chiefs. Any running back for the Chiefs is automatically a top 20 for me. So,
yeah, mine was actually between Clyde and Miles Gaskins.
Me too.
Yeah, so
I actually have Miles Gaskin here, but I switched him out last second.
Yeah, I'm actually going to do the same. So I'm actually going to go with Clyde. The thing about Clyde, which kind of scares me a little bit, is again, if they're on the 1 yard line, there's a very good chance they're still going to pass it. Mahomes is not a guy. I watched a lot of Chiefs games. He's the guy who literally just looks downfield the whole time. He's not a guy who's looking like little 5 yards. Where's Clyde? I'm going to dump it. He's literally looking for the big play every time. Which, as a running back, if you draft him, you're going to get annoyed. He's like, just dump it off, give me the points. But he's looking downfield every single time.
But he is really talented. Do you see him run the ball as a little guy? He's pretty talented.
Yeah, he's good. I mean, he probably reminded Reed of Brian Westbrook, who had amazing Pro Bowl season. So that's why we went with him. But I'll go with Clyde as to round up the top 20, and then I actually have what's his name, Gaskins 21st. So let's actually go through with some of the running backs that didn't make both our cuts. So let's start off with some people who say, how the hell did you leave him off? Josh Jacobs. How the fuck do we leave him off? Have you seen him play?
Why the hell would you leave him off? That's hilarious.
Look, man, you know what the funny thing is? It's like when you comes to the Raiders, it's like their best asset on the team was the offensive line. Great offensive line.
And then they got rid of them.
And then like, let's fucking get rid of them all. Like, what the fuck are you doing? We're going to trade our great center. We're going to cut this guy. We're going to cut that guy. We're going to trade him. I don't know. And then maybe their best player on the team, perhaps in Josh Jacobs, a guy who they spent very high capital in the draft. Mm-hmm. Typically, you don't want to draft a running back that high. They went ahead and did it. And then they're like, let's go give Kenyon Drake a big contract and then split the carries. It's like, I don't know what the hell what they're saying.
And then they give who was that running back last year? Oh, man. Not DeAndre Washington. It was someone else.
Oh, I thought it was Booker?
Booker, yeah. They kept putting him in the red zone instead of Jacobs, who they paid a bunch of money and he's supposed to be the top guy. Pissed me off.
Yeah,
he's not going to catch any passes. He's a PPR.
He's not going to catch anything.
He doesn't catch anything.
He doesn't catch
Who knows why? And when he runs the ball, he gets like 2 yards of carry. It's just
stupid, man. It's honestly from the players to the head coaching. Like I remember when I watched Hard Knocks, all Gruden does is just knock on the table, boys. Everyone, give him a pound on the table. Just everyone's like, he's stupid. You know,
as if that's gonna help him.
Yeah, so I don't think he's gonna do shit. And one thing that pisses me off about him, I remember he tweeted before a game saying, "Oh, I'm not gonna play today," and he just did that, and he actually did play. So you know what, Josh Jacobs, fuck you.
Yeah, if you're watching this, I bet you are because everybody's watching this.
Yeah, man.
Buzz off, man.
Yeah, fuck the Raiders.
You ruined my season last year. I still won. If anybody forgot I did win last year with Josh Jacobs. I traded AJ Brown for him. So stupid. That's probably the dumbest thing I've ever done. Besides being,
What's funny? I actually made a horrible trade when I traded James Conner for Le'Veon Bell, who never even played, and I still won the championship. So let this be known: no matter how many stupid things you do, you can always come back and win.
that's
Me,
with everything.
we're bound to make a stupid decision, not just in fantasy, but we make stupid decisions in life all the fucking time.
All the time.
It's how you come back from it. We have yet to come back from anything, but we are hoping
Eventually.
Yeah. In fantasy, we won championships. In life, we're still fucking losing. That's not.
If you're never down, you can never come back up.
Yeah.
Remember that. So to get
And if
really
you never
down,
try, you can never lose.
that's a good one.
That's yeah. That's why I never try.
I never try when I lose.
Yes.
Any other running backs you want to mention?
Yeah, there's a couple more. David Johnson.
David Johnson, yeah, he's a guy who's always going to get volume. The Texans are an absolute mess right now, though. So I wouldn't draft.
I wouldn't want.
Yeah,
I wouldn't even want Deshaun Watson if he plays.
No, he's up in the air. Yeah, we didn't even mention him on the QB stream because we're not even sure if he's going to play. There's so many allegations out there. We don't even want to, talk about that. But it's just it's a mess.
Pop quiz. Spell allegations.
ALLEGATIONS.
Is that right?
You gotta ask someone else.
I don't know how to spell that shit. How do you spell allegations?
ALLI.
Oh, I got it wrong. I said ALLE.
Yeah.
Dang. Go to college, kids.
Stay in school, kids. Stay in school.
All
and
the
then
kids
someone
are
else that
watching.
we have, Raheem Mostert.
Oh, yeah. But the thing about the Niners is they just
Can't
drafted
stay
another
healthy.
running back. They have 500 other running backs that they're going to use.
Yeah,
They
that's
all
a
get
team
hurt.
that's like-
So it's kind of like, yeah. I mean,
I remember-
I'll definitely grab a Mostert maybe if he's still there in like the fifth.
I'll grab a 49er running back. I don't know who the fuck I'm going to draft, but whoever's the last one standing is who I'm going to draft. That's just. I remember specifically. I remember everyone was saying, "Oh, Mostert's going to have a great game. Mostert's going to have a great game." They're facing like 37 ranked run defense, and then it ended up being like the third string running back who had like a great game instead. Like you just never know with that
That's
type
the
of
thing with the Niners. You just got to put them in and hope and pray that they're going to be the ones getting the carries. Like,
Yeah, that's it. It's kind of hit and miss. It's
How about Myles Gaskin? What do you got to say about him?
Myles Gaskin.
Myles Gaskin.
I think he's gonna do good. I think Tua's a running quarterback who's gonna throw it to a running back. I think he's gonna be a much improved. If you look at their left tackle, first round pick, right tackle, second round pick, right guard, second round pick, left
They
guard.
invested a lot in their line.
I mean, they invested a lot in offensive line, so he's gonna get good production out of it. So yeah,
He was an all-around back last year. He was catching passes. He was running the ball. They even gave it to him in the red zone a couple times. I mean, in the goal line. So
He was actually, I believe, like ranked 15th in the league in missed tackles amongst running backs, which is
That's
like
pretty
whatever,
good,
right there
yeah.
in the middle. But the guy missed 3 or 4 games last year. So I mean, if you add that up, he can potentially be top 10. So I mean, he's a good back. How about Melvin Gordon?
I do not like Melvin Gordon this year at all. To me, he's definitely lost a step. And then, do they still have Lindsey? They get rid of
No.
Lindsey.
He went to the Texans.
Oh shoot!
That's Texans is a complete like mess. Like
I don't even know.
Who else went to the Texans? Mark Ingram.
That's right.
It's
So
like
I
the
wouldn't. I wouldn't even
49ers.
go for David Johnson at this point.
Yeah, I wouldn't want anyone from them.
Yeah, I wouldn't want anyone. So that's kind of good for Melvin Gordon if Lindsey's out, but I don't really trust the
drafted,
Broncos offense.
They drafted a running back in the second round out of North Carolina. Fuck, I forgot the guy's name. Javonte Williams. Drafted Javonte Williams. Really good out of the second. They actually moved up in the second round to get him.
That actually might be a guy I'll be looking at like late in
Williams?
the draft. Yeah, if he can have if Gordon goes down, as a handcuff, or even if Gordon is not playing well, they try to give him some carries. He ends up doing great, and they give him more because they split the carries with Lindsey last year.
Yeah,
They might be trying to do the same with him.
that running back tandem, I'm not good enough. I'm not looking to get anyone specific. I'm looking to just get whoever's like the last one at a good average draft position. That I'm not like in love with either guy. It's just, hey, this guy's available late in the rounds, I'll get it. I mean, it's not one specific.
If I'm gonna make a risky choice later on in the draft, I'm looking for a young rookie running back that might have a potential to break out.
So, which brings me to my next guy. How about Travis Etienne? He was a late first round pick, and actually, yeah, they have Robinson, but they're saying they might use Travis Etienne as a wide receiver. So you might be able to basically get wide receiver production out of a running back. So I don't know how you feel about
he's
that.
really interesting, and I feel like Urban Meyer drafted him for a reason. He really wants to use him. I mean, to push James Robinson out of the way. He wants a speedy guy like Etienne who can catch it.
I honestly will be shocked if Urban Meyer is there 2 years from now. You have so many holes in that offense and defense, and your best player is James Robinson. You're like, you know what? Let me draft another fucking running back.
Yeah,
I have no idea what's going through his fucking head. No fucking clue. But I don't know. That's actually not a guy who that's a guy who I'll stay away from as well. Yeah, he might get some passing work, but again, Trevor Lawrence looked like a great quarterback in college, but coming to that offense, I mean, I don't see anything special.
I might take a chance on Etienne as a breakout player late in the draft. If I don't have good enough running backs as I thought I would have, and I'm really desperate, I'll go with someone like Travis Etienne late. Anybody else want to?
Yeah, Kareem Hunt. So this is a guy who you basically ride his butthole all the way to the championship.
I did.
Surprised you don't have a Kamara and a Hunt jersey. So how about Hunt?
I really like Kareem Hunt just because he's someone. He doesn't have to have a bunch of carries to have a good game. He's gonna have 5 to 10 carries and break out for 40 yards and get 3 catches for 30 yards, and it'll be good enough. He's not a guy who's gonna win you the league or even win you a game, but he's a guy who's gonna keep you at least average.
He's a great flex guy.
Yeah, he's a great flex guy. He's also a great guy if someone's on bye, you can plug him in. He's always going to get you an average of 8 to 12 points a game. You don't want to get him way too early, but if he's still there, I got him in 6th round.
You hear the pounding sound?
He was actually a great handcuff too, because if Chubb is out, Hunt is going to be a top 5 running back automatically. So he's someone I always want to grab late in the draft because he's just an extra guy you can put in anytime you want. And he'll do good against any team. It doesn't matter how good the defense is. So, yeah, he's probably 23, 24 if I had to rank him.
Do you hear the pounding sound?
Me?
Yeah.
Now I do, yeah.
She never cooks. Never. And then right when I'm doing this, she decides to cook. She doesn't fulfill. Look, she's smiling because she knows it's true.
Unbelievable. So, she knows that we're going to get thousands of viewers. She wants to.
Are you kidding me? She's pulling out hammers and hitting chicken. So let me give you an interesting name, and you're going to be like, "Wow, I can't even believe we brought this guy up." And it's unbelievable because the guy had great production. Is going to be the starter. James Robinson.
Well, you just mentioned him earlier. I don't know if James Robinson is going to be the starter. Is he?
Oh, come on. He has been after that type of season. They're talking about putting Travis Etienne at the wide receiver position and getting a lot more. But, I mean, the guy played amazing. He did you're only going to improve the passing game and to give him more chances to score a touchdown.
Honestly, if he's still there.
What round would you consider it? You know, that's honestly, I think he might be the hardest guy to predict. Can you imagine anyone harder?
No, he's probably one of the hardest, especially at the running back position. I feel like if I don't get a running back in the first 2 rounds, and then and he's still there, honestly, in the 4th or 5th, I might take a chance. I know it's pretty high, but if I don't have any running backs, if I already have running backs and James Robinson is still there, the 7th, 8th round, I'll definitely take him. No chance, because imagine he did what he does last year, and you have 3 amazing running backs. I mean, but it's really tough.
He's a real interesting guy. So he's one. How about the Cardinals backfield? James Conner or
No, I'm
Chase
staying
Edmonds?
away. This is on record. I'm staying away from the Cardinals backfield. Last year was a mess. This next year is going to be a mess. They're a passing team. All they want to do is pass and pick a ball 50 times a game. They just got AJ Green. I think they drafted another. I don't know. All they do is get receivers. Yeah, they
That's
have
what they
James
want to do.
Conner. Probably it's just like a goal line guy or something that he can use once in a while. He's injury prone. I'm staying away from him. I know they have Clyde Edmonds.
Clyde
He's
Edmonds.
still there.
Clyde Edmonds. Chase Edmonds?
Chase Edmonds. Stupid. Chase Edmonds, who they're probably still going to use. They're going to use him as a pass catching back. This is not enough to go around. I'm staying away from the Cardinals backfield for sure.
Yeah. How about the Bucks backfield? Ronald Jones or what's his name? Leonard Fournette.
Oh, man, that's tough. I would go, I think Ronald Jones, just because Fournette's just another year older. I know at the end of the year, Fournette was the main guy, but I feel like they're going to get Ronald Jones started in the beginning. Maybe if he doesn't do great. That's the thing with Arians, though. One running back is not doing great. He's just going to put the other one in. He doesn't care. One fumble from Ronald Jones, which he does quite often, they're going to take him out and put Fournette. So the Bucks backfield is another one I'm staying away from. I can't trust these backfields where they could just switch out a guy any second because that could lose you a week. I'm not going to do that.
No, when it comes to these type of backfields, there's not a certain guy that I'm interested in. I'm really just playing the ADP game, which is if one of these guys fall low enough, I'm like, okay, I'll take a chance on this guy. For example, the Raiders, I'm not going to draft Josh Jacobs at his current ADP. I'll rather get Kenyon Drake at a much lower round, and he can get not the same similar work, but he can get a lot of passing down.
Mm-hmm.
And it's something really funny. So there was when Drake was in Miami, Gruden was doing a Monday Night Football game because he used to be the announcer. So there was a play where this linebacker shoots right up the gap to tackle Kenyon Drake. And Kenyon Drake just completely jukes a guy, spins out of defensive tackle, gets like 5 yards out of it. And then Gruden is like, that was all Drake. He's like, he literally made 5 yards out of a loss.
Oh, he was in love with him since the beginning, huh?
And he just kept raving about him. Look at Drake. And look who signs him. So this is something
they're
that
planning to use him then.
Huh?
They're gonna be planning to use him.
Well, yeah, they're planning to use him. They give him a nice size contract. But when you see the head coach, who was like an announcer at the time, raving about a certain player and then signing that player to his team, that's kind of like, wow, that's kind of like a big deal. I think he really plans to use him.
How about a guy who's going to get some volume and probably now a running team in Damian Harris?
So that's actually who I was going to bring up. Would you draft Damian Harris or Sony Michel? Let's say Sony Michel goes undrafted.
No, I'm not.
Would you rather?
I'm getting Damian Harris because I feel like he's going to be he's the next guy up, and they were using him a lot more towards the end of the year. Michel, I just don't see that explosiveness from him. So I'm going with Damian Harris, who was actually looking good at the end of the year. He's a guy they drafted. I know this drafted Sony Michel pretty high up too, but Damian Harris is fresher, younger. I think he's the next guy up. They're going to see what he's capable of this year. I think he's going to be the full-time starter, even week one. It's hard to predict with the Patriots, but if I had to pick one, I'm picking Damian Harris late in the draft.
You think he'll even be available later in the draft? I actually really, really like Damian Harris.
If he's not, then whatever. I'm not a guy who's going to pick him too high. I'm going to wait. How about I'll give you one. Damian Harris or James Conner? Who's your pick?
Who?
James Conner or Damian Harris?
Damian Harris.
Really?
100%. 100%. Who is a running back second string that you feel like you have to have besides a handcuff?
Besides a handcuff?
Besides like a handcuff running back, let's say you draft Zeke, you feel like you have to get Tony Pollard. Who's like a second running back, like a
Well,
second string
I
running
already
back?
brought up Kareem Hunt. Obviously, he'll be the number
That's what I
one.
was going to say. Let's say besides Kareem Hunt, because I feel like it's like the obvious choice.
Okay, we got
Is it
Kenyon
maybe like
Drake,
a
which you
Rashad?
mentioned.
Is it like a Rashad Penny and Kenyon Drake, J.D. McKissick? If you remember, he was killing it in the passing
Yeah,
game.
J.D. McKissick is someone. It's just for PPR leagues. He's someone who's like that Kareem Hunt kind of guy who's gonna get you 8 to 12 points, possibly more if they need to keep passing the ball. But the thing is, like you said with Fitzpatrick, who knows how much he's gonna pass to the running backs? He's a guy who just wants to fling it down the field all the time. But we also have Gus Edwards, who's on a running team. It's just lots to go
Gus
around
Edwards,
there. I'd rather have J.K.
they
Dobbins.
gave him like a salary increase. That's a crazy thing. They didn't have to. They didn't give him like an extension or anything. From my understanding, they just gave him like a salary increase. Like, hey man, you're gonna get a little more work this year. Here's a little bit more money. So that's a nice boost of confidence.
Yeah, true that.
So yeah, I think so as well. But the crazy thing is a lot of times if you look at like running backs from last year compared to this year, like how you had them ranked last year, and the way you look at them this year, you know, like Josh Jacobs, like that was a guy who we drafted, I think, like the first 6-7 picks or something like that.
Yeah.
And then, you know, we don't even have him in the top 20. So a lot can change in a year.
Yeah, really. Who else there's Giovanni Bernard for the Bucks. I feel like they picked him up.
He's on the Bucks. Oh yeah.
Yeah, they picked him up to be that passing down back because they had no passing down backs. They tried to use Fournette as the guy, but he kept dropping balls. Ronald Jones couldn't catch it for shit. They had the rookie Vaughn, couldn't really do much. I think he fumbled like his first carry. So, yeah. So they picked up Bernard for a reason. He could be like a surprise PPR kind of guy. He's not going to get drafted, so he could be someone that you could pick up if you get an injury or something happens. But someone just to look at, I feel like could possibly build some value to your team. We didn't even go over the Buffalo running backs. I'm gonna stay away from them.
I'm staying away from them too.
But Zach Moss could be a possible starter.
Let me give you a trade scenario. Let's say if you have really no running backs and your wide receiver is Devontae Adams. Let's say if I go ahead and offer you a trade of Cam Akers and DeAndre Swift.
Whoa, that's tough. I have no running backs.
Your running backs are like, you basically went running backs late. You got a good tight end. You drafted a good quarterback. You drafted a few good wide receivers. How important is it for you to have like one of those stutter running backs?
It's very important because I feel like with receivers, you can always pick up a guy against a bad matchup. I know Devontae Adams is way ahead of any other receiver, but when running backs are so scarce, if you have that legit number one back, it's guaranteed points at that position. You really have to do it. A receiver could be hit and miss. So I would take the trade if I had at least a decent receiver that could replace Adams. I would take that trade.
Are you a big believer on drafting a running back early, or you don't?
Yeah, I am. I have to take a running back in the first round. No matter what.
Wow.
Yeah, I have to because
let's say you got the say you have the 10th pick.
Oh, I've had the 10th pick.
Okay. Say you have the 10th pick. Who's let's say Austin Eckler is the best running back on the board, and you have Kelsey, you have Devontae Adams available. Who are you drafting? Eckler, Devontae Adams.
You're not going to like this. You're not going to agree with this, but I'm still taking Eckler at this point. If you look at the past drafts in our leagues, everyone who takes a wide receiver first in the first round ends up being one of the worst teams. You have to get a top running. You have to get a top running back, and especially at 10. At 10, I can flip, and there's a chance Adams or Kelsey could still be there at 14 or whatever the next time I pick.
How about this? How about you draft? Let's say you get Devontae Adams. Then you get Kelsey with your second pick, which is possible, if he goes like in the high second round.
Yeah.
The third round comes and you draft a guy like David Montgomery and let's say DeAndre Swift.
No, there's no way DeAndre Swift.
Montgomery.
There's no way what round would have been able to get DeAndre Swift? There's no way.
You don't think fourth round?
No way.
No.
I think he'll be gone by third round. Yeah, he'd be gone because you have to think. You had the top 10 running backs. The top 10 running backs are going to be gone probably within the top 13. And then you have DeAndre Swift going probably late second, early third. So it'll be tough. How I look at it is I'm getting a running back first. The second round, if there's a Kelsey, I'm getting him right away. If there's an Adams, I'm getting him right away. But if there isn't, if there's a Diggs, I'm getting him right away. But if there isn't, I'm getting another running back. And that's one of the top guys. And then that's it. I'm set. I'm set for like the most of the draft. I don't have to worry about another running back. And I can start targeting top receivers, top tight ends, and then get like a Kareem Hunt or one of those guys I mentioned that you could just put in, a J.D. McKissick later on, and then get a handcuff for one of my top running backs. And then I'm pretty much set. Get a quarterback like the 10th, 11th round. That's one of my sleepers. That's how I'll do it. I would love a Kelsey in the second round. Would love it. I really want a good tight end. Last year I got George Kittle. And then that's another position you don't have to worry about anymore. I hate having to worry about – a lot of people make this thing where they don't want to draft a tight end until late. But there's really only 3 great ones. Might be only 2. And if you land one of those, you're going to be one of the top 5 teams in the league no matter what.
100%. You have such an advantage if you have a tight end compared to someone else. Like, you're getting extra points. Like, if you have Kelsey, you can get 20 points. Like, if they have, like, a tight end, like, I don't know, like who's another tight end, like a Robert Toyon or whatever from the Packers, some shit like that.
Robert Tonyan?
Yeah, I mean, the guy, scored touchdowns. That's the only reason why he scored, but whatever. Or an Evan Ingram, like, whatever. You're going to get, like, 15 more points than, like, their tight end. That's
it
a
really
huge
helps
difference.
you.
Versus if you have like a wide receiver and they have a wide receiver, whatever, a few points here and there, but it's a huge difference. I've actually learned from previous drafts. Draft a tight end high, and that's something we'll get to into the tight end episode.
Which is probably we're gonna be doing receivers next.
Yeah, receivers you can do again, like running backs you do 1 through 20, wide receivers you can do 1 through 20. Tight end should be really just like 1 through 5. Like, there ain't really shit after that. It's just really like who's facing.
Yeah, that's one's gonna be tough for sure.
Tough. I mean, it's I don't know, like tight ends are gonna be really difficult. But I mean, I think we pretty much nailed it all down for our running backs. But
yeah,
you are a big believer in drafting him first round, no matter what. I say it depends who's on the board. It's really like the football draft. Like you are a guy who's picking on team need. Like, no, I have a huge need at running back. I need to get him. I'm like, best player available. I'm not going to reach, So that's the difference.
It's just really up to what you really want to do with your team. And that's important to have an idea of what you want to do before the draft, weeks before the draft. Do mock drafts. Be ready because you're going to be cool, calm, collective during the draft. And I like to have a paper ready and have a list of a few guys I want to take in the first round. And if they're not there, then I move on to my next tier and I grab the guy I want because
didn't like one time like you were like deciding two players and like time ran out on you. You're like, who the fuck did I draft? And then being like some fucking kicker or some shit like that.
No,
like
I wanted a kicker, but I ended up not even getting a kicker. But it worked out good for me because I ended up getting Blankenship in the free agency, and he ended up being like the number 1 kicker.
Also, speaking of that, in the later rounds, don't be afraid to draft an area like a kicker or a defense 1 round before everyone else does.
Yeah, like, I don't know why people want to wait so long. It gives you an advantage getting the top defense that you know is going to be top defense, like the Steelers or something like that.
Grab them.
Yeah, just grab them. Why are you so scared? Or grab a good kicker that like the Chiefs kicker, the Ravens kicker,
Tucker. Don't draft a 5th wide receiver on your team when you can draft the number 1 running or defense and start them every single week. You're not gonna start that fifth receiver. More than likely, you're gonna cut him, put him on waivers at some point.
Exactly.
But that defense, you're gonna start him every single week.
And that kicker, and it like that helps you when your other positions are kind of falling flat. At least you have the number one defense, number one kicker. It could keep you in games, and honestly, it actually win you some games, especially a defense who puts up very good points. Because a lot of defenses get you little to no points, but if you have that defense who gives you 5 to 10 points, it's actually very good. Like
you wanna pick a defense that gets a really good defense. I like Pittsburgh. There's a team that gets interceptions, really good safety. They get sacks. Washington's not a good one. Get sacks. You want to pick a team that gets sacks, get turnovers, put points on the board for you. Those are a huge difference. There's defenses that literally can get you 1 point, and there's defenses if they get a pick six, that's like a 15-point separation. I mean that'll basically get you a win or a loss. So again, don't always pick a round early or two if they're going to start for you every week.
Yeah, we should do a whole episode just on tips. I feel like we can do like an hour worth of tips for people. That'll really help.
Yeah.
But we're coming to a close on this one. I think we got a lot of good information. What's coming up next is receivers, top 10 to 20, 2 episodes. We're going to do tight ends. We're going to do a tips episode. Maybe with another player.
We want to do some mock drafts. And before the season starts, once the season starts, we actually want to have a fantasy football mafia league. Let's get a 12-man league going. We want to show you guys why we are the best and you guys are below us. Yeah. And that's what we're planning to do. Before we end the episode, is there anyone fat that we know that maybe we talk shit about them, like Andrew, so they can go join the gym?
I think you covered that in the beginning of the episode, but
he got real mad too.
Yeah. I don't know how genuinely mad he was, but we want to bring him on. This is the whole reason. He's not that great at fantasy or Madden or anything really, but if he could
he's good at baseball, that's even a fucking sport.
It's not a sport. I'm pretty sure everyone agrees that baseball is not a sport. If you do think it's a sport, stop watching because you're pathetic. Okay?
Leave in the comment section below. Let us know if you think baseball is a sport.
Yeah, let us know if it's a sport and why. And give us good reasons. We don't want your pathetic reasons. And if you actually do give a good reason, kudos to you. Maybe we'll invite you on and have a little debate about it. Because we love to argue. That's what we do in the Mafia.
Speaking of Andrew, who's also a huge WNBA fan, he was actually letting us know why you should watch the WNBA.
I mean, he's a Raider fan, so what do you expect? It goes hand in hand.
You really have this guy on the show. He's a WNBA fan. He loves baseball. He got mad when I called him fat. Went to the gym the next day. He's like a girl, dude.
He's talking a lot of shit. All right, so I think on that note, we should send it off. Remember to like this video. All 3 people that are watching, like the video because it really helps. I know the 3 people probably are wives and girlfriends and maybe one of our other friends, but maybe you're that one fan who's actually watching. Like the video, share it, subscribe, so you can share this beautiful content with other people and help the lives of the fantasy people out there who want to win their league for once. I was one of those people who was down in the dumps. But what happened? I did my research. And now I'm a fantasy champion. I want to help you out too.
The guy didn't make the playoffs in years, never gave up. That's a guy who you want to be like. He hasn't made the playoffs in years. And he finally did it and he won. Yeah, it was during a COVID year, but you know what? You take the good with the bad.
Yeah, and Brian always gets close, but he never reaches the top. And maybe one day he'll get there. And this could be the push for him.
I have 2 rings, by the way. 2 rings.
The other one doesn't count. It was we had like 5 girls in that league when you won.
Okay, speaking of those 5 girls, did you make the playoffs that year? I don't know.
I wasn't trying. I told you, when I lose, I'm not trying. All right. Fantasy Mafia, have a good one.
4
Thanks for watching. Peace and love.